A good effort lacking execution eliminates the Patriots from the postseason. Hello and welcome to Patriots All Access, presented by GEICO. I'm Steve Burton. A sub-500 record was not good enough to qualify for the playoffs, so New England begins its offseason with a whole lot of work to do. We'll examine some of the biggest areas of concern, but kick things off with a look back at the final regular season game of the year in Buffalo in an emotionally charged atmosphere.
It is Folk who does the kickoff honors with Nyheim Hines, the former Colt. And the kick is aloft, left to right. And it's short to the 4, headed between the hash marks. Hines straight ahead to the 20-yard line. He bounces it right outside to the 30. He's chased by Mack Wilson to the 45-50. Folk in pursuit to the 45 of New England, and down the right side, he is gone to the end zone. What a start for Buffalo.
Hey, 60-minute game, right? 60 minutes, that's what we want.
Second and goal to go from the 2, the snap to Jones. Play fake, he looks left, he throws back in the end zone for Myers. Jacoby reaches up to make the grab, but was he shoved out of bounds? The officials will confer without a signal yet.
Touchdown, it's going to be touchdown.
Call it a touchdown if you're not sure. After review, the ruling on the field does stand as called. It's a touchdown.
Let's go. It's got to be. Good work, good work.
Matt takes the snap, drops back, looks right, looks down the middle, steps up, lobs a pass toward Carter. Touchdown, Patriots!
Let's relax. Nice try.
Give to Singletary. He runs it to the right. He's spotted up. He ducks back to the inside. Across the 10. Ball's out. Ball is out. And as the scrum ensues, looks like the Patriots have it. They do.
We got it. That's a big one, bud.
The ball was right here. We just kept pulling at it.
I was like lifting him up.
Yeah.
He kept scooting to
We kept just getting it. That's a big end of fun recovery.
Now the field goal try from 24. It's a high snap. Pilardi gets it down. The kick by Folk is good, and the Patriots take the lead. And now it's 7:06 to go here in the third. The Pats again with their first lead of the day as Folk delivers the kickoff left to right. It gets to the end zone 2 yards out. From the left side, it's Hines across the 20 to the 30. Hines is hit, and he breaks away to the far side 50. To the 40, to the 30, to the 20. Nyheim Hines has done it again. Hines stepping into the end zone. Touchdown, Buffalo. The Patriots, for the most part, put up a great fight today against the Buffalo Bills, but betrayed by their special teams unit once again, and then ultimately, Josh Allen and the Bills do what they do best.
Welcome to our Bob's Conference Studios with Mike Reese and Paul Perillo. Buffalo. We knew they were going to run into a buzzsaw. But here's the thing. Was this game there for the taking?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was because, some of the things we talked about last week, we knew that Buffalo was going to have a lot of emotion. But, Mike, I asked sometimes if that could work against you in terms of draining you a little bit mentally. I think you sort of tire yourself out. They didn't have a lot of preparation time. And I thought Buffalo played like that, especially in the first half defensively. Listen, I give the Patriots a lot of credit for taking that punch, Mike, and standing there and going toe-to-toe for a while.
I agree with you, Paul, and I would say we were walking out with the longtime Buffalo writer, Vic Carucci, after the game, and I said, what's the perspective from Buffalo? And they said, we can't play like this against the elite. like the Bengals, the Chiefs, and expect to win. So that tells me from their perspective, that game was there for the taking for the Patriots.
All right, so they're hanging with Buffalo, but then mistakes happen again. And is this sort of like a microcosm of the season?
Yeah, in this game, it's 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown. We've seen, some special teams blips throughout the season. And then offensively, you have 3 really nice touchdown drives, which was a little bit more production than we've seen. I think Mac was 17 for 17 on those 3 drives, but then otherwise he was something like 9 for 23. When it wasn't a scoring drive. So that lack of cohesion on offense still, Mike, I think is a huge problem. And defensively, the big plays. You just can't allow big plays like that if you're an elite defense.
Against the best quarterbacks. That's the microcosm of the season.
Absolutely.
Defense came through against the lower tier, upper tier, not as much. Complementary football, disconnect all around. Offense, defense, special teams, yes, it was a microcosm.
All right, guys, don't go anywhere because we'll see you later on in the show. We'll be back with more Patriots All Access right after this.
Coming up on All Access.
We'll hear from Patriots players as the season comes to an abrupt end.
We have to put a better product out there. It starts with me, so tough uphill battle, but learned a lot.
And later, we'll explore life on the Patriots practice squad.
I think it's an NFL football player who gets paid to practice. Now, your commitment to that role, I think, determines opportunities going forward.
You're watching Patriots All Access.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of the New England Patriots. By Putnam Investments. Putnam Investments and the New England Patriots. Proud partners committed to an active game plan on the field and off. And by AdCare. Be recovery strong. Speak up. Reach out. Ask for help. Call AdCare at 800-ALCOHOL.
The East-West Shrine Bowl announced that the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons coaching staffs will coach the 2 teams in the College All-Star Game on February 2nd, 2023.
Linebackers coach Gerard Mayo described it as a trash bag game, meaning if you lose, you empty your locker room belongings in a trash bag because it's time to go home. Dan Roach checks in on a team as they prepare for an offseason filled with questions.
Bill Belichick confirmed this week that he will return for a 24th season, and he's got lots of work to do.
Lobs a pass toward Parker. Open. Touchdown.
Mac Jones had one of his best games in the season finale in Buffalo, but overall his numbers were down from 2021, and at times there was a noticeable frustration.
We have to put a better product out there. It starts with me, so tough uphill battle, but learned a lot. Learned more than anything I ever could imagine in a football season, and just want to be able to build on it.
He's pressured by Judon. Rolling one, he's sat by Judon.
The Patriots defense finished statistically in the top third of the league, but did struggle against some of the top-tier quarterbacks.
You just got to work harder, everybody. And one thing we have to focus on is consistency in our play. And I think when we do that, we'll have a really good team.
Hines across the 20 to the 30. Hines is hit and he breaks away to the far side 50 to the 20. Nyheim Hines has done it again. Touchdown.
Bill Belichick has always had above-average special teams play, but not this year, as the unit struggled, most notably in the season finale when the Pats allowed 2 kick returns for touchdowns. But overall, Slater is optimistic about this Patriot team.
I feel like we built a lot of character this year, and there's a great young core of players in that locker room that are going to be good for this franchise for a long time.
So the average NFL roster has usually about a 33% turnover when the players report from year to year. So in July at training camp, 90 players on the field. Will be interesting to see who's back for this Patriots team. For Patriots All Access, I'm Dan Roach.
Welcome back to All Access presented by GEICO. For nearly 30 years, development or practice squads have been an important part of a National Football League team. What once began as a group of 7 has now grown to a maximum of 16 players per team, largely in part due to the pandemic. In our latest installment of Do Your Job, we examine the role of a practice squad player for the New England Patriots.
What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice.
Yes, we're talking about practice, and it's no joke.
Pay attention to the situation. 1st and 10.
To me, the practice squad is the guys who are looking at the opponent's offense or defense, trying to give our offense or defense the best look possible to go out and execute on Sunday. Look team or show team, dirty show. I mean, we kind of just give it a little jazz to it.
Perfect, right there. Right there.
It's just those guys that are still emulating some of our techniques, also learning some of the opponents, how they run certain coverages, run certain defenses, and just trying to go out and execute it at a high level versus our offense or defense.
The practice squad is a group that is separate and distinct from the NFL rosters on game day.
So in order to be ready to go out and perform on Sundays or Monday nights or Thursday nights, whatever day the game is on, you need to have some type of preparation or some type of look at what you may see or what the opposing team may bring you come game day.
D'Angelo Bentley is in his first season of coaching with the Patriots. Among his responsibilities are assisting the practice squad.
I would say to be a successful practice squad player is just about owning your role, owning your job or responsibility, whatever that is of you.
I think it's an NFL football player who gets paid to practice. Now, your commitment to that role, I think, determines opportunities going forward. There's a lot of respect for guys on the practice squad. We're talking about guys that have invested the same amount of time and hours as the rest of us throughout the course of the off-season, and then, just because you're on the practice squad in season doesn't mean they're spending less time, and committed to the team. So to me, maybe it's just because I went through it. I have a lot of respect for the guys on the practice squad and their commitment to the team because it's hard. I think every practice is important, whether you're a practice squad or not, where you really need to be committed to the process of fundamental football and improving.
Is how can I assist you so you can go out and perform at your best? And at the end of the day, I'll end up getting better as well because, iron sharpen iron, and everyone, if we can all benefit together and I can give you a certain look that you need, that's ultimately what I'm here for.
Bill Murray was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Patriots in May of 2020. After a few years on the practice squad, Murray was elevated 3 times this year to the game day roster.
I'm ready to do whatever is best for the team. I think that's the role for a lot of the guys on the practice squad, is whatever can help the team win is the most important thing. And I think a lot of guys who are on that practice squad, they love football and they love winning and they will do whatever it takes to get us the win.
We had Bill Murray, get elevated for the 3rd time. I was really proud of him because you see the amount of work they put in, the time, the effort, and it's not easy. It's easy to talk about it, it's hard to do it. And so, to see someone get rewarded, it makes you really happy.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access, everyone. I'm Bob's Discount Furniture Studios, back with Mike Reese and Paul Perillo. What now?
Ooh, what? How much time you have?
Open-ended question. Well, listen, there's some work to do, and I think you have to, step back, look at the team. What was the biggest problem, Mike? Offense. They couldn't move the ball, produce points, and have any kind of consistent production from week 1 all the way to week 18. It got a little bit better at times in spurts, but never consistently. I think that's where you have to start.
It was really a shocking regression for the offense. And there's a lot, Steve, to what now, but you have to make a priority list. And to Paul's point, offense is number 1. And I'll just give you a couple examples. We joke a lot about numbers, Paul. In the red zone, one of the most important parts of football, they were 11th in the league last year. This year, they were last, 32nd. 3rd down offense, key down, Bill Belichick talks about it all the time. Last year they were 10th. This year they were 27th. Last year they scored 48 touchdowns on offense. This year they scored 31. I gave you 3 categories, but pick any of them.
So how much of that is the players and how much is that is the coaching staff? And will there be movement on the coaching staff?
Well, I think they both went hand in hand because I do think, and I've talked about this a little bit with our discussions here, I think there was a lack of buy-in on the part of some of the players with the changes that they made with the offensive coaching staff. Now, does Bill Belichick think it was coming around, Mike, with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge? I think that remains to be seen, but I think that there does need to be some changes, and I think you have to figure out a way to get the quarterback a little bit more comfortable because it was clear that didn't work. That dynamic didn't work.
I feel confident that there will be some changes, but I want to say it in this context. Like, that doesn't mean that Bill Belichick looks at Matt Patricia and Joe Judge and says that they're not good coaches. Like, I think he believes, and I believe they're good coaches. They've won Super Bowls with them.
Absolutely.
But in different roles, Paul. It's like the fit. And this he measured it out. Bill did at the start of last season. Thought this was the best way to go. The evidence, every statistic we talked about, says it was miscalculation, and there's room for both. That these are good coaches that just wasn't the right fit, and how Bill Belichick moves those pieces around. Because there's other areas, Paul, like special teams.
Well, is that a simple solution? Joe Judge had a lot of success as a special teams coordinator.
That's what I'm talking about.
Does he take over that area and maybe tighten that up? Because for 2 seasons now, Mike's right, that the kicking game has been a problem.
All right, so that leads me to the quarterback and Mac Jones. What happens with Mac Jones?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to have to buy in to whatever they do, and I think that's where it starts. And we could talk about his play. I've been critical of his play a little bit more than I think a lot of my colleagues have been. But I think that the bigger issue is that I just don't think he believed right from the start. Going back to the summer, we heard some whispers that he wasn't really happy with the direction. So they have to find out a way to get him back on board, and then they have to give him some more weapons to work with. Because I do think Jacoby Myers, terrific receiver, but I think you need a number 1 receiver, a guy who's going to occupy the other team's defensive game plan every week. It doesn't have to be Justin Jefferson, the very best, or Jamar Chase, but it needs to be that kind of a player, a guy who's going to occupy the defensive coordinator's night's sleep the night before the game.
Big picture, the team's going to have to make a decision on Mac by the end of next season on whether to pick up his 5th-year option.
Right.
So that's the context of the discussion. And I think you mentioned, like, what now for Mac, Steve? Like, he needs to have a good year to show that he's the future quarterback of the team. And how the team goes about putting him in position to do that, I think, is the story that we're talking about. Is it coaching? Is it more players around him? And I think there were times this year, Mac's 24 years old. Could he have handled some situations better? I think it's fair to say yes. And I think that's okay to say, yeah, he's 24. Like, with a little more maturity, some better pieces around him, to me, he's still a guy you can build around, but he needs to go prove that to them as well.
All right, guys. It was great working with you.
Awesome season,
all season long.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Nice, Steve.
Thank you very much. That'll do it for this edition of Patriots All Access. For Mike Reese and Paul Perillo, I'm Steve Burton. Have a great week, everybody.